Hey, it's Jermaine from livewellzone.com, and today I wanted to do a different type of video to basically just take us back to the basics so that we can really understand what we're doing when we talk about balancing hormones, because I think very often we get caught in the details, right? So we just are focused on, I just need to get my hair to grow back, I just want to lose the weight, I just want the acne to go away, I just want my ovaries to function better, or my thyroid or my adrenal or whatever it is. Like, we get very hyper focused on that detail and we lose sight of the bigger picture, and the bigger picture is actually where everything happens. Okay, so when we talk about balancing hormones, what you're talking about really is bringing more balance to you, bringing more balance to your life, because your hormones are responding in real time to how you're living life, how you are experiencing life. So it is not so much about your ovaries or your thyroid or your adrenals, and it's more about how you are living your life. That determines actually your results, how long they last, and it also determines what you focus on at any given time. Okay, so in general, there are really just four categories that you always want to look at, no matter your age, no matter what diagnosis you have, no matter what symptoms. There are four basic things that you always want to look at when you are experiencing any sort of hormonal imbalance. Okay, and those four things are food, supplement, movement, and lastly, emotional well-being. So those are the four things. Now, depending on what's going on in your life, that will affect the thing that you actually prioritize. Okay, so at one point in your life, you may need to focus more on diet. At another point, you may need to focus more on movement. Another time, it might be more emotional well-being that you have to look at, okay, to improve your hormones and support your health. Now, I'm going to go into all four very quickly, and then I'll do some more content around some of these, because some of these really are very, very critical, and if we ignore them, doesn't matter how much work we do in some other areas, we don't get the results that we are looking for. So the first part, which is food, I'm not going to talk about this too much because I have tons of information on this YouTube channel as well as on my blog around food. The main thing here, which will come as no surprise, is whole foods. That is just what you want to prioritize. Okay, now if you want to get into the details of should it be brown rice, should it be white rice, and things like that, and should I eat a certain thing during a specific time of the month, that is very individual, and that is really going to come from you paying more attention to your body and seeing what works for you and what makes you feel better. It's a very individual thing. There are general guidelines, and I have general guidelines in all my other videos. So definitely check out my video where I talk about a hormone balanced diet. I will link to that so you can get some more information, but you just want to just keep in mind that all you're doing here is just prioritizing more whole foods. Now, the second aspect is supplements. There are lots and lots of different supplements, again, that are out there calling for our attention every single day. But here you just want to think about some very basic things. The first thing is just a multivitamin. And you want to think about a multivitamin because our food supply doesn't always have all the nutrients that we need based on how food is grown. So I always lean towards just taking a basic daily multivitamin just to help fill in any potential gaps. And then when it comes to any other supplements, herbs, personally for me, are the best thing, and it's what I like, only because herbs are basically food. There are lots of herbs that will support your hormones, and that will also be the same things that you use to cook. Things like turmeric, ginger, cinnamon. Those are all can help you in different ways with hormonal imbalance, and you can also just incorporate them into your cooking. You can just make a nice tea to drink with them. Other herbs like parsley and cilantro, those support detoxification, for example. Again, you can cook with those, you can add those into some juices. So it doesn't have to be complicated when it comes to things like herbs, okay? If you start to find ways to incorporate them into your cooking, and this is why, again, the more whole food you eat, the more of your own food you cook versus eating out or just picking things on the go, you have more control, and then you can incorporate these things into that food, and it doesn't have to be a big, exhausting ordeal for you, all right? So then that's my 2 cents on supplements. If you are curious about specific supplements or herbs, I have specific videos around those. I have playlists, so definitely check out the channel to find the playlist and the video that is more relevant for you. Okay. Now, the third thing is movement. Now, I use the term movement more often these days more than exercise, because really we just need to move our bodies. So exercise, it can turn into something that we do just because we feel we have to. There's a sense of obligation, or maybe we're just trying to lose weight, or we're just going to force our bodies and essentially punish our bodies to go through a routine, but we're doing something that we don't really enjoy. But we just need to move on a daily basis, and that can be walking. If you are into something more like dancing, or if you have the ability to go swim in any kind of body of water that you can swim in, all of that is really what you need, because the exercise is, again, helpful for hormones and overall health, not just because maybe it keeps us slim, for example, but really the benefit there is that, for one, it can really lift your mood. It can help you to clear your mind, because when you move, you basically get back in touch with your body. Like, your body is your home. And sometimes if we are too sedentary, or if we are super stressed out and we've been thinking too much, and when we think a lot and worry and stress out, you almost kind of disconnect from your own self. So exercise is a way to get you to reconnect, and it actually can be very, very grounding, and being grounded can actually relax you. And guess what? That relaxation will have benefits when it comes to things like stress hormones. So there are a lot more things, subtle things going on with exercise, and so, or with movement, I should say. So that's why you just want to move your body every day. And it doesn't really matter. The intensity is really not that important, because you really want to move more in a loving and caring way, and just be appreciative of where your body is, even if you are super, super tired. Because I know that, again, one of the things that happens with hormonal imbalance is that we get very exhausted. Okay. And I've been through this myself, because I will go through bouts where my sleep is not the best quality, and I will wake up super exhausted because I didn't get enough sleep. And a lot of it is coming from stress. My mind is wandering. I'll talk more about this shortly later on in the video, but you can still find ways to move your body. For me, one of the best things would be something like just walking, because just getting fresh air, being on the sun, reawakens me. Doing yoga, of course, but even aside from all of those, Qigong for me personally has been super helpful, because it has a way of just helping you wake up and circulate your, not just blood, but your energy, your subtle energy. And it can be very, very helpful if you are going through a very stressful time, or you just are in the phase where you're so fatigued and you can't do much. This helps you to actually rebuild your energy. So you definitely want to look into something like Qigong, but any exercise, Pilates, whatever, those are all great. Only thing to keep in mind with any kind of movement is that you don't want to do something that is too stressful. So if you feel exhausted and you can't even make it through the workout, but you are really pushing yourself, and then you feel drained, like you feel at the end of the routine like somebody had literally put a plug into your body and drained the energy out of you. If you feel that way, you definitely want to ditch that workout and go for something else, because you'd want to avoid adding more stress to the body, because already hormonal imbalance is a state in which your body is working at a deficit. It's usually working at a deficit in terms of lots of different things, nutrients and energy and whatnot. So you do not want to do anything that will cause your body to freak out even more and be like, oh, why am I being stressed out now? Kicking up that cortisol, which can again have more basically negative side effects. Okay, so you want to be mindful about how you move your body, but definitely move your body all the time. And then one more thing actually about moving your body is that this is also important when it comes to your lymphatic system. So the lymphatic system is kind of like your sewage system. So the same way we have a sewage system in the house that has to get rid of all the gunk in the house, you have a lymphatic system that is basically where everything that is just junk drains out. And that system requires a pump. It needs to be pumped for that stuff to move out. Movement is the pump. So again, if we are not moving enough, if we are too sedentary, all that junk is just staying in our system, again, not helping us. Okay, so that at a high level is why you definitely just want to make sure that you start moving your body more regularly. And then the last piece, which is the emotional balance of things. Now, this one is huge. I mean, this is a huge topic, and this is actually the one that I will be doing some more content about, because it is the thing that is hard for many of us either to understand. There's not really any test that can be done, because this is, how do you measure? You can't really measure your emotional balance necessarily in a test tube. You can't weigh it and put on the scale. Other things, we can go to a doctor, they can run tests, they can see numbers, but this one is subtle, right? But just because it's subtle doesn't mean it doesn't have incredible power, right? It doesn't mean it's not actually affecting us. So when it comes to the emotional balance, this is really going to be every other part of our lives, looking at, just our personal relationships, our relationship with ourselves, how we see ourselves, how we see the outside world, our past experiences, potentially past trauma that we have experienced, because all of that is everything, literally everything we've ever lived through, everything we've seen, heard, felt, is stored in the body as some kind of memory. Some of it is stored in a way that is helpful and positive, and some of it is not. For example, there is some research that talks about a correlation between women experiencing traumatic experiences early in life, especially maybe some form of sexual abuse, for example, the correlation between early traumatic experiences and then later on having struggles when it comes to the menstrual cycle and PMS or PMDD. Again, it's not necessarily a cause and effect, but there is a correlation, and there is some interesting research that has come out around this, and the numbers look pretty high. The correlation looks pretty strong when you start to look at it, because again, the body remembers and stores everything, right? So this is the part of us that we also want to make sure that we pay attention to when we start experiencing hormonal imbalances, because there is a limit to what you can do with food and supplements, right? But there is always going to be additional work that we have to do to really get to the root cause, so that we can get the body out of any state of stress and get it more into a place of balance and safety. Because what you're trying to do here is get your body into more of a state of rest and repair, right? So the body is usually either doing rest and repair stuff, or it could be in survival mode. Now, rest and repair is kind of what we think about when we talk about the parasympathetic nervous system. Your thyroid also is correlated, it's connected to a lot of the rest and repair processes. And then we have these survival processes. Those are connected to the sympathetic nervous system and the adrenal gland. And your body is either, at any given moment, is either surviving or it is doing rest and repair. This is essentially why, for example, if there is a lot of stress and there's a lot of cortisol and adrenal activity, maybe you struggle when it comes to things like hair growth, or even your menstrual cycle, or your sleep. Sleep is where we do a lot of rest and repair. You can't be super stressed and anxious and at the same time sleep. Like, that's why your sleep tends to fall off. And I use the example of sleep because that is something that I have personally recently experienced, where there were a lot of stressful things going on in my life, and I had spent so much time in my head thinking, anxious, and so on and so forth, and it had an effect on my sleep. And I did all the things, as you can imagine. I of course took the herbal teas and tried all the relaxation techniques, but they worked, and then they would hit their limit. And every time I would try a new herb, it would work and then hit its limit, because that is not what I needed to look at. What I needed to look at was how I was not only experiencing the things in my life that were stressing me out, but how I was perceiving them, because I had to get to a place where I also realized that those stressors are not going to go away immediately, but that does not mean that there aren't things that I can do in the interim to still take better care of myself and to help myself get back to sleep and to help my body feel safe enough to get back to sleep. Okay, so I'll talk about this some more in other videos, but I just wanted to bring this up as something that, like I said, you can't out supplement anything that is emotional. We have to do the work to get there, and that is something that I've had to go through multiple times. I go through cycles. Overall, my sleep has gotten much better. Every now and then I will either fall back to old habits of worrying and stressing, and then I have to reel myself back in and just get myself back into a place where my body feels relaxed. And every time I do that, and I do it consistently, everything's fine. I don't have to be running around trying to do all the things and take all the supplements, because in this particular situation, that is not what I needed. In some other situation in my life, there were times in my life where I needed to eat better or I needed to take herbs, but this was not one of them. So same thing for you. You have to give yourself some time and some space to do that personal evaluation, okay, and see what is actually what is the thing that I need to be doing? Even if you're trying to eat healthy, so maybe you need to eat healthier, but you are struggling to make that change, or struggling to make that behavioral change. That struggle might be coming again from either just a certain mindset, a certain relationship with your own body, or a certain relationship with food, maybe how you perceive food or your body. Maybe you think you don't deserve even to eat healthy, because it is amazing the things that we pick up along the way and that we store subconsciously. So, but once you get to the root of that, suddenly it becomes way easier to start making all those other changes in your life. Okay, so I just wanted to introduce these 4 main concepts or pillars of hormone balance to you. So again, the diet, supplement, movement, and emotional balance. Those are the 4 things that you always want to look at, no matter what is going on, to see which one do you need to focus on the most to really get you to a healthier, happier, more balanced place. All right, so that's it for this video. I hope that this sort of more kind of theoretical video, I hope that it was helpful just to give you a concept of what to look at for yourself. And like I said, I'll be doing more content around this, especially the last piece, the emotional piece, because that is the one that can literally just hold us back forever, and we can spin around like ballerinas just trying to figure out the right thing to do, and nothing is working. Okay, so I hope that you found this information helpful, and if you did, I would appreciate it if you gave the video a thumbs up, and of course if you shared it with anybody else that would benefit from this information. If you want more content like this, leave me a comment, subscribe if you enjoyed this, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.